Welcome back. So after a long weekend of a trance workshop, 2 days, 2 dems, feeling tired, so I've come out to my local woods that you're starting to become familiar with, and I was going through the comments on the channel because I haven't been able to get on them for a few days, so I answered a lot of them this morning, and there was one from GG69 asking about letting the spirit world impress their own story, but trying to present that in a way that is their words, or they're giving you a sense of smell or a feeling, etc., all that kind of stuff, and expressing it. But then when the energy's starting to wane, what questions do we ask? So in this video, we're going to cover that. So I must give a massive shout out to the students of the weekend, because it was a very, very, very good trance course that I was running this weekend, and everyone really handed their mediumship to me and allowed me to give them an insight to the way that I do it, and they all were very, very successful. It really was a good workshop. But I absolutely love this question that I've got up to this morning. There's 2 or 3 that I'll be covering this week on videos. I obviously had my own agenda, but some of the questions gave me food for thought. Some I had to sort of go away with and sit down and think about just before I grabbed the camera. But this one was the first one that I got to that required a video, and I love the question, at what time should we ask a question? Should we be asking questions at all? And if we should, what should they be? I do love this what's the story approach, because that is my first question that I go out with to the spirit world. And a lot of people are seeming to adapt to this style. So for the last 5 years I've taught this intensively, to a lot of negative, and now a lot of people are starting to go down this route, lose the format of mediumship, the sex, the age, the relationship, the passing condition, the checklist kind of stuff, because it's been done like that for as long as I know. And I thought just asking them what their story was the better approach, to which I found a lot of brick walls I was walking into, and now everywhere seems to be doing it. So Gigi said, I like to let them impress their story, and that's basically what I teach. Watch your story, and they will know what's best to sort of present and go from there, whether that be a one-to-one or platform demonstrating. For me, it's a no-brainer. Your dad, your mum, your friend, your whoever knows what I need to be saying, and go from that. And a format is very, very restrictive in doing that, letting them have their voice, their story, and presenting it in their way. So firstly, that's the correct way to do it. GG69 I think it was. So I would continue down that way. However, the time to ask questions is the time when you're unsure. As a medium or a developing medium, you'll always be a developing medium. But in that moment, it's knowing when to sort of bounce backwards and forwards with the communicator for the best time to ask the right question. And what I mean is simple questions. You have to be really nosy as a medium. You have to be really curious and really, really nosy. And that sounds terrible, doesn't it? But that's the fact. So if they're asking you, you're talking about family, then the immediate question is that my mind immediately goes to what direct family, your husband, your wife, your whatever, your children, and they may go, yes, my children. I go, oh, how many children have you got? And then from there, the conversation, like any other conversation you have, just unfolds. And so what I mean is, I don't go in with like a list. I don't go in with like a notebook full of questions, the same questions time and time again. That's what a format has formed That's what everyone's doing right now. So I just go in like I would with a friend or a colleague or a family member, whatever that will be. It will be just a normal conversation. If they're talking about, I feel unwell or I felt unwell, and immediately my mind's like, well, how? How did you feel unwell? What was it? And they'll go, well, it was cancer. And so in my head, I'm already immediately aware, like there's 300 plus cancers. So the next question from there, immediately, it's like instantaneously, what cancer? Where was it? And then from there, the conversation can still unfold. I can only suggest it. It's very difficult for anyone that's had any kind of length of tuition through mediumship. At no point do you feel like the energy's going to wane in a normal conversation with a mate. He was going fast. I saw him flying down the hill there as well. I thought he was going to hit me. But at no point do you feel like, what if this conversation dies? What if it's sort of like, what am I going to do? We don't sit there and do that, do we? We don't go to Starbucks with a friend in our lunch break or meeting up for a chat, for a catch-up. We never enter that conversation and go, oh, what if the energy dies in this conversation? What am I going to do? Am I going to lose my friend? Is he going to go away? I don't know what I'm going to do. At no point do you do that. And this, for me, it's just so simple, so simple. I talk to them like they're there. They're really there. They're missing a physical body. Everything else, their consciousness, that auric field, that energy, that intelligence is all still there. They're missing one thing. That's it. And so at no point do I feel like the energy's going to wane or disappear. And so if the conversation falls flat, like conversations do, we talk about the wrong subjects or something awkward comes up and, I shouldn't have really asked that question, then we change the subjects, don't we? We just change it. We take a new direction. We try to find the thing that's going to pick the conversation up again and make this conversation feel very normal. Mediumship's no different. No different whatsoever. We just get on with it. Just change the subject. Find something else to talk about. And just acknowledge, right, okay, we're not going to talk about that. What do you want to talk about? They'll talk about what they want to talk about. The energy lifts, the communication carries on, and away we go. However, that's really difficult when we've been taught by the professionals, the big names, year after year, placing them on a pedestal, that this is difficult, this is hard, you must eat and drink in this way, you must meditate, you must sit in your power, you must do all these things to be as good as me. No, you don't. You don't have to do any of that. It's the mind. It's that simple. It's the mind. If you can move your mind into that space, you're there, you've got the communicator there, and you can have a conversation, then it goes on from there. It's that simple. And, I appreciate that people in some weird kind of way have been taught badly, because it gives me a platform to talk, gives me a platform to share my journey, my mind, my views, my thoughts, my opinions. I'm not saying they're all right and they're all going to work for you, but most of them will, because I try to make it easy. We talk of the intelligence of a spirit world. They're so intelligent. They're more intelligent than your little human brain can ever comprehend. However, and then fill in the ritual, crazy. These woods are filled, thousands and thousands of squirrels. And yet the moment I turn my camera to them, poof, gone, disappeared, cannot get a single one on shot. They know I'm here, they know I've got a camera, and they are refusing to have their photo taken today. So GG69, I hope I've answered your question in some way. I really appreciate the questions that come in. I love the engagement. It really does help the channel when you get involved in the channel. You give your questions. It gives me food for thought. I I can be a little bit annoying sometimes because I think it's easy, or I do this, and the reality is, if I find a problem, my brain thinks, well, the spirit world's intelligent, what am I doing that's getting in the way of this? How can I make this easier for the spirit world? It must be me. Let me go find out the answer. And then I find what I find works for me, and then I go out and I practice it and it works, and then it's a very short-lived episode, you know. However, I know some people don't think like me. They don't act the way I do, or be proactive in that way. And that's not negative, it's just the way that I've lived my life and the way that I've had to live my life. But I haven't had that input, you know, where people are telling me, no, you must do this, no, you must do that. Very early on, I approached mediumship with the understanding of Silver Birch and Maurice Barbanel. Adored the work of Estelle Roberts for the stuff that I've read about, but that's it. So I had that in my head, and when any teacher or tutor said to me something that insulted my reason or insulted what I believed the intelligence of the spirit world was, I threw it away. No, I'm not having that. That don't make sense to me. So formats will always work. You can go in with a list of questions and you can get through. You will be able to demonstrate, and you will be very successful if you get these questions right. And these questions can be things like, what's your occupation? You know, what did you die of? How old are you? What's your relationship? What's your passion? What's your hobby? And that's enough there for 7 to 10 minutes on a platform, or you could spend 30 minutes doing a one-to-one, and it just become very normal for you to have these 5 questions that you go in with, and the time frame allocated. You can fill that out with that information. For me, it's just information. It lacks an essence in some way, and some stories can't fit into that. And I always use an example of an uncle of mine who I never knew to work, never knew to have an occupation. And so that format fails right there. It's one of those things where I realised very quickly that these formats that we're operating, let me just adjust that we're operating are very limited, and because of that limitation I wanted to open my mind and give the spirit world a freedom of speech as such. So I'm at the end of my walk through the woods, and this seems like a good time to call an end to the video. But before you go, I want to see which ones of you are watching the video to the end. So comment hashtag till the end or something like that. That should be good. And I've got an upcoming Zoom workshop for the US, or people that live far away from me. Details are all on the website, mediumcharliekelly. And I watch many YouTubers myself, and a lot of them are videographers or photographers, and I pick a lot of tips and tricks up off of their channel and how they use the film editing software, etc. And they give these like LUTs away, and they give like these cameras away and all that kind of stuff, and I'm just not in a position, or the channel's not in a position to give that kind of stuff away, because I need it myself. The only thing I have to give away, I give away, which is the knowledge that I acquire as I go along. So what I want is to give someone a free Zoom workshop space. There's still a few spaces available. Half the spaces are gone already, and now an extra one's going to be gone, because I'm going to give it away in this video. I'll announce it in 2 weeks' time. The conditions are that you have to like and comment on this video, get involved in it, and then you have to head over to Facebook, where my Medium page is. So it's mediumcharliekelly on Facebook. And leave a review there on why you like the videos or what you get from the channel, something like that. I will be checking that both are still current, so you are liked and you have reviewed the page on Facebook and you are a current subscriber on this channel. And then I will throw all them names into a randomizer and I will just pick one winner from that. So good luck if you're going to take part in it. I look forward to reading your comments and reading your reviews. And I will see you all in a couple of days maybe. I'm going to record another one, but it's going to take a little bit of editing. So I'll see you all midweek. Look after yourself. See you next time.